Like, how did you become this public figure?
I mean, I literally have no comprehension of what happened. I decided that I was just going to talk about some of the things we do so that it's like, look, this is what we do. Let's not try to pretend that we don't do it. We do it. We need to fix it, and in a realistic, scientific way where we have some empathy and treat people like human beings, because we don't. So we're denying that we have this. So well, people are saying these cops aren't racist. I'm not saying they are racist. What I'm telling you is they're participating in institutionalized racism. You're participating in it. You're guilty, and that's what I'm telling you. I'm guilty. I participated in it.
Is there a way to fix it?
Well, the easy thing from the police thing is I think empathy is number one. We have to start treating human beings like they're human beings. We have to, like, we just arrest them and you throw them in a cage, just like they did with Freddie Gray. And you don't focus on them being somebody's child or your, I mean, race is a social construct. This is my brother and I'm doing this to him. It eventually just doesn't, it's inconceivable. We're perpetuating that situation. So we're the ones doing that cycle. So when we see a 16, one time I was a shift commander in the Eastern District, and I'm telling my guys, stop pulling over old white ladies, stop pulling over that young cute girl, stop. We focus on who commits the crimes. That makes sense. Until you complete the cycle and realize that you started doing that because of institutionalized racism in your organization. And so when you are jacking up those guys in the corner and you do find that dime bag, so you send him to jail, now he can't go to work the next day, so he loses his job, and then he can't make it to court, so he gets his license suspended, and then he's driving, and then you are focusing on those 16 to 24-year-old black males, so now you're more likely to pull them over. Now you pull him over, now he has a suspended license, now he gets his license revoked, and now he can't get to the job legally, and now he's left with selling drugs on the corner. So we're creating it. We have to step back and realize what the facts are on what we're doing. And the number one problem is the drug war, and then we have money and politics. Those are our two big issues that we have to solve before we get anywhere. So that's our role. That's what we're doing. So your mayors and your politicians are going to continue to encourage that. They're not going to take a risk and say, all right, how do we lower possession of marijuana? You legalize it.
Yeah.
And you control it, and rates actually go down. Whether we're overseas or we're in Colorado, your possession rates for marijuana will go down. But we don't do that. We keep looking at everything like we're a hammer searching for nails, and we keep looking for what we're going to hit to stop it, instead of standing back and using science and figuring out what are we actually going to do to fix this problem, what will actually have results.
This is very rare to hear a cop talk like this. I'm really happy that you're coming forward and speaking like this. But how many people that were with you in the police force are upset about this?
I think the vast majority is upset with me, and they're going to be upset with me because what I'm really trying to do is take power away from them. I mean, I really am. I'm trying to take power from them and give it back to the people, because we're supposed to be serving them, not be an occupying force. Intentionally actually go out of my way to lift up a situation and de-escalate it and do better than to come in there and be like, you're going to jail, shut up, let's go, which is what I did for a long time.
So when you say the county, what does that mean? When you say white boy from the county, what's the county?
Right, so the suburbs. So in Baltimore, it's kind of weird. It's a little different. So Baltimore is incorporated, so it has nothing to do with the county. So there's like this hard line. So it's not where, and then
the county of what?
Baltimore County.
Oh, okay.
Right, so you have the city by itself. So here in Los Angeles, you think you have Marina Del Rey, you have Inglewood, you have all this stuff is LA. Mm-hmm. In Baltimore, it's just Baltimore. So everything is concentrated and focused. And me coming from the county, I've never spent any time in the city growing up. I come in just as straight from the Marine Corps. That's ready to roll. We're going to do our thing. I'm going to put on a different uniform and continue my war.
Wow. So that was why you became a cop. So you came right from the military, and it just seemed like a logical progression.
Right. It's a logical progression. I think I went into the Marine Corps to prepare myself. I was a little uncontrolled, and decided to go into the Marine Corps to get my shit together and
discipline.
So I could get into the police department and everything would be. And that was always my.
So your goal was always to be a police officer,
right?
And why was that?
I don't know. Said it since I was a little kid. I think you go in with these grandiose ideas that you're going to help people, and I wasn't doing what I actually set out to do. I was actually exacerbating the situation.
So you got caught up in the cycle yourself, the cycle of law enforcement and the way law enforcement behaves in Baltimore, and it just became habitual.
Totally. You don't think about it. You just ignore it. So when I say that I have that suspect that I chased and the guy comes up and kicks him in the face, I think to myself, God, that guy is a fucking asshole. But not me. I didn't do it.
Right.
But I have the responsibility to do something there. That was an assault on an innocent victim. It's not as bad as McKinney, but it's assault on an innocent victim that I should have certainly stepped up and done something about. It's just you're in it. You don't. I can't explain it. How you don't see it until you really just start to slowly step back and it's what are we doing? I think your cell phones are certainly scaring a lot of cops from doing things. But the only variable here is the proliferation of video cameras. So as you get more and more cameras, you're seeing more and more.
Like that fucking cop in Texas that showed up at the pool party and did the fucking roll like he's Paul Blart Mall Cop. Holy fucking shit. When you find out that that's a real person, you just like...
Right, so think about that situation. So that's the McKinney situation where you have a guy assaulting a 14-year-old girl. And that chief still comes out and still he has that blinder, that blue blinder where he's saying there's 11 good cops there. My ass there are 12 bad cops there because they just witnessed an assault on a 14-year-old girl in a bathing suit and did shit about it. So you have 12 bad cops. But the reason why I'm talking is because I do think those 11 other ones can be spoken to. I think the guy that comes up and pats him on the back then is like, yo, what are you doing? Why is your gun out? If we keep talking to him, then maybe he'll be able to go talk to 2 more people. Maybe he'll realize what he's doing. And we can kind of at least on a grassroots level kind of change what police think they're supposed to be versus what we are. I did not find the job stressful on the streets. The greatest enemy was from within. They say that in End of Watch. Don't worry about the street. You got to worry about what the other officers are doing.
I missed that too. I heard it was good.
Yeah, it was good. It was the banter back and forth in that movie is very realistic of what cops act like. You think cops are all professional, but we're sitting in the car talking about the same things that anybody else talks about, and then you're, oh shit, something's going on.
Mostly pussy, right? Yeah. Anyway.
So it wasn't stressful for me.
Are you a weirdo?
I don't think so. I think I built up that wall.
Uh-huh. But do other people have that wall?
Not all of them. I know some of them handle things more personally, so they take that. So I don't think we want those people as cops. I understand it's hard for them. I get that. But the job's not for anybody. You're absolutely right when you say the job is nearly impossible. I think it is impossible to do right. So that's why we have to be more human so that when we screw up, we can say, look, I screwed up and this is why. And people will understand where you're coming from. Whereas with Freddie Gray, we obviously screwed up. There's no way around this. But yet we still come out and be like, oh, what? We don't know anything. Wait till the facts are out. Bullshit. You had somebody in your possession and he's dead. Stop denying him. And they got a knife out of his pocket. So let's stop at this knife. Now, how do we get into the knife? We searched. Right. We went into his pocket.
Illegal search.
We don't have a stop and frisk.
Right.
But even if you can somehow justify that, the knife that he has is only illegal if it has an internal spring. So how could you feel whether it had an internal spring or not? And how many white people do you think carry a knife with an internal spring? It's going to be the same amount, but do any of them ever get arrested? Never. The whole thing is stupid. So why do you create a law like that? You create a law like that so you can fuck with the people that you want to fuck with. That's why we do it.
So they use it as an excuse.
Absolutely. So we can fuck with who we want to fuck with. It's exactly what we... And we're good. We're playing the game. We know.
Did it bug you that you were looking for drugs? Did that ever, like, go, what the fuck am I doing being some sort of a glorified revenue collector for the state, pulling people over for drugs?
Yeah, you're totally right. There is no point in any consensual adult agreements to fight against them.
Yeah.
But my whole point is to keep it real. It was fucking fun.
It was fun.
It was fucking great.
Fun to catch them?
Yes, I lived for the car chase. I mean, you think about this. Think about if you're in a police car and you have the lights and sirens.
Right.
And you're going down like Coastal Highway, or you're going down your favorite 101 or whatever it is, and you're going through your side roads and you're chasing this guy. There is no adrenaline rush that's ever compared to that. You live for it. It's incredible. It's amazing. And you don't really... I didn't really care why. Give me the car chase. It was amazing.
That's so refreshingly honest. I'm so glad you're talking like this, because I always thought that too. I always felt like it must be exciting for them, like a fucking
it's amazing.
Cheetah chasing a gazelle.
Right.
You know?
I have 3 good stories we can tell later on. That, I mean, it's just like, oh, you can understand if you were in that situation looking for the target. Yeah, I was. You know, if I had a guy with a knife, I was sitting there, I was telling him, put it down, put it down. But in my head, I'm going, oh, fuck, don't put it down.
You want him to come at you so you can shoot
I'm
him.
a fucking cop. I'm going out there. You know, it's
Right.
like, this is what you do. But
you had a line.
and I wasn't going to cross it. I certainly wasn't going to cross it. I was ready to shoot if I had to, but I was never going to cross that line.
But you kind of wanted to shoot.
Sure.
Wow.
I mean, I come from the Marine Corps.
Right.
I was in fast team.
Right.
This is what I did. I was trained from 17. I went in the Marine Corps at 17. I was handled a rifle in boot camp, and I went into special ops, and I was trained day in and day out to kill. That's the honest truth. And then I have to transition into bringing that skill set into the police department, where luckily I was able to separate myself and it wasn't an issue for me. But I don't think that's where the shootings come from. I'm pretty convinced that your military members actually won't shoot. I'm convinced that the shootings come from fear. Fearing that whether we want to face it or not as a nation, it's real, and we have to face it if we want to learn how to police properly, and we actually want to get our nation back to where it is. And we tear down these borders, these things that we do, these social constructs, your flags, your whether we have a line down at Mexico so that they can't come over here and we don't help them, and we have our states, and we do all this so much dumb shit that we just make up to separate ourselves. But there's no difference. He's got more melatonin than I do. Wonderful, whatever.
They're just human beings.
Yeah, I mean, we're all the same. We know this. Scientifically, we know this.
Did you get into altercations where you had to shoot people?
I could have pulled the trigger justifiably quite a few times.
But you never did.
No. I mean,
So you
it was
went
going to be the last
11
resort.
years in Baltimore, in the city, and you didn't have to shoot anybody?
No. I can't. I mean, I know of two that were happened pretty close to me that were completely clean shooting.
We need people like you who other people are going to listen to and say, well, here's a guy who's on our side. Here's a guy who's not a racist. Here's a guy who's not just looking to shoot people and lock people up. Here's a guy who really came into this job wanting to help and experienced a bunch of fucking chaos.
Yeah, it's chaos. There's no other better word for it. It's the biggest shit show you'll see is going to an urban environment and being thrust in that, because it's not just, as I was saying, it's not just a street, it's internal as well. The whole thing is a big clusterfuck of mismanagement, and no one's caring about what we actually need to do. We need to end the damn drug war. This is ridiculous that we're doing this.
So that's most of what you're arresting people for.
Oh gosh,
Was it all of it?
90%?
Jesus fucking Christ. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? 90%.
That's all that matters there is guns and drugs. Guns and drugs. Guns and drugs. Guns and drugs.
And guns probably are there so they could sell drugs and defend themselves.
And defend themselves, right?
Yeah. Fucking A, man. What a crazy, crazy situation. Just a bizarre police state set up by the fact that drugs are illegal. Man.
We saw what happened with alcohol, right?
Mm-hmm.
So gangs take over, and you have violence. Do you want to lower the violence? Isn't that the mission of the police? Do you want to lower the violence? Then every single chief out there needs to be saying, hey, we need to end this drug war. Stop it.
I think when you violate, somehow or another, you violate either other people's rights or other people's safety or other people's health and welfare, then it becomes a real issue, and you should be prosecuted based on whatever transgressions you've committed.
Right. So don't you agree then that the drug war distracts you from actually being
100%.
a real police?
100%.
Totally turns you away from.
Did you develop friendships? Did you develop any sort of connection with those folks?
None. I was an occupying force. So I go from there and I go to the Northern District, which is this area called Mount Washington. Mount Washington is an upper class, 80% to 90% white. You have judges that live there. You have nice houses, $400,000, $500,000 houses. And now I'm in this environment, and it's like, holy shit, where am I? You know, I'm in white land now. I have this road that's called Cross Country Boulevard, and it has a stream next to it. What the hell am I doing here? So I'm expected to get the same amount of arrests, and I'm expected to write the tickets. So I have bosses that are telling me, like, you're not doing anything. Like, well, what am I supposed to do? I'm like in a good neighborhood. What do I do? So I would leave my area, go to the black neighborhoods, and make drug arrests so that I could appease my bosses with my arrest numbers. So you're continuing that cycle once again. I'm leaving that area to go poach and specifically continue that cycle. And I'm doing it because that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
So if you were in a place that had no crime, you would get in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, I had my one sergeant had to defend me constantly because I went to a post in that same district where I started bringing the crime numbers down, but I didn't have the arrests. And he had to defend me to his bosses, saying like, "Look, he hasn't had a serious crime in a long time. That's his job." And I was getting criticized the whole time because I didn't have as many arrests.
Yeah, that's like the ultimate goal, right? Is to have no crime.
Shouldn't that be the metric?
That should be.
It's not a metric.